Alright, let's talk about a story that's flying under the radar, literally and figuratively, because it's about Australia's FIFO workers and the 2026 census. Imagine a town that's buzzing with activity, yet the official population count says it's shrinking. How does that even happen? Well, welcome to the paradox of regional Australia, where the way we count people might be breaking the system. Let's zoom in on Kalgoorlie-Boulder. This mining hub is in the middle of a boom so intense that its airport now handles over 500,000 passengers a year. That's more than some capital cities. But here's the kicker, the census might still miss tens of thousands of FIFO workers. Why? Because the rules haven't caught up with reality. The mayor's been lobbying hard, pointing out that if population numbers don't reflect the true strain on infrastructure, funding for schools, hospitals, and roads will dry up. And he's not alone. Towns like Newman in the Pilbara are spending $50 million of their own cash to fix wastewater systems overwhelmed by workers who technically don't exist in the data. Now, here's where it gets personal. The ABS says FIFO workers should count as residents if they are in a location 6 months or more. But let's dissect this. Robert Powell, a worker splitting his time between Perth and Port Hedland, calls Perth his home. But does that make sense? If you're living in a camp for weeks straight, paying local taxes, and using services daily, shouldn't the census reflect that? Personally, I think the definition of home is evolving. We're clinging to a 20th century framework for a 21st century workforce. The ABS, usual residence, rule feels like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And what about the human side? Cheryl Yam, an organizational psychiatrist, nails it. This isn't just about where you sleep, it's about where you feel you belong. But here's the twist. Belonging doesn't pay the bills. If a town's funding is tied to population stats, and its infrastructure is buckling under invisible numbers, who loses? The communities, that's who. The Pilbara's CEO, Diver Gillam, puts it bluntly, if you're here 6 months, this is where you live. But convincing workers to check a box that says, this camp is home. That's a heavy lift. So, what's the bigger picture here? This isn't just an Australian problem, it's a symptom of a global shift toward transient labor. From my perspective, the 2026 census is a test case for how governments adapt to modern work patterns. Will outdated definitions win, or will data finally start reflecting the messy, dynamic reality of where people actually are? And if FIFO workers remain ghosts in the system, what does that say about how we value the people fueling our economies? Let me know your thoughts. How would you count the uncountable?